Hi, I've been busy since I've last shot footage. I have over half of my quilt top actually put together. Quite exciting, but it's still a slow process. And here is where I need them. So I am currently taking these 9 blocks and stitching them to the solid fields of the herringbone. And you just do it two at a time, two at a time. The rows alternate, so kind of have to pay attention to the last row end in a 9 block, or did it end in a herringbone block? And you just make sure you do the opposite of that. So again, it's been going well. Same tricks that I used when piecing my 9 block together, I have used when piecing the squares together. And again, having them be very precise really helps, because then I'm able to ensure that everything's squared up. And as long as I get my 1/4 inch seam allowance perfect, it's going to come out perfect. I did notice, there's just a couple places. You can kind of see right here where it's not so perfect. And so that made me rethink my strategy a little bit. I hadn't been pinning. I had been just kind of like making sure as I was feeding it through that it felt correct. But after having a row where there was just a couple that did this, I went ahead and I did put pins in to make sure everything's lining up really square. So it's kind of interesting. When you first put the first 2 rows together, you can still really see the individual blocks. It looks like you're alternating between blocks. But then as you start to build it more and more and more, I think your eye starts to play tricks on you, and you start to see the emergence of the Irish chain come out. So I'm really excited. I'll show you real quick some footage of me piecing together the blocks and piecing together a row, so you can kind of see how that comes together. Hobbs king size wool batting, so heirloom premium wool batting, and I'm very excited to use this for the first time. I thought the piecing was going to come together a little bit quicker, so I got it out to start letting the air out a little. I don't quite know what it's going to be like when I steam it and try to get all the wrinkles out of it, so that'll be an interesting experience for the first time, playing with this wool batting and getting it ready to go inside the quilt sandwich. The other update I have, something I hadn't talked about before, but I use a Grace EZ44 hand quilting frame, and I am going to hand quilt this with big stitch quilting with a pearl No. 8 cotton. I have Valdani's antique gold cotton that I'll be using. And my frame can only go up to 96 inches. And if you've quilted before, you know the backing has to be bigger than the batting, and the batting has to be bigger than the top. And then the finished size of this quilt would be 98 by 98. So that alone is already too big. And then whenever you put the batting and the backing on, much too big. So I did size down. The quilt ends, like each corner has a 9 block on it. Ignore this little squiggly line. But if I figured out if I took 2 rows off of it, I'll still get that pattern of it ending in the 9 blocks, and then that would become a 82 by 98 quilt. So the 82 would be the width that I can put onto my frame, and the 98 would be the length, and that's not as important. So then I still have a little bit of wiggle room. So I did decide to go ahead and make, once I'm done piecing this all together, I'm going to make a border for it. Very simple border, probably a thin strip of blue, max maybe 2 inches. So I might do 2.5 inches so that the final product's 2 inches. But I've always been a big fan of having borders on a quilt. To me, they seem more finished. So I did have to order more fabric for that. It's supposed to come on Monday, but we do have a big snowstorm going on right now, so we'll see if it comes on Monday. All right, so that's where I'm at with my Irish chain quilt. And I'll do some footage of me piecing together a row that goes on there. I just have 4 more rows to go, and I'll be where I need to be. Thanks.